Hello there. Can you guess where I am? There we go. Look, the two cruise ships out to sea. Yeah, so another clue for you where I am. How much do I know about this place? I know nothing. Okay, that's the clue. I'm not even going to try and do the accent, but I know nothing. Okay, so that is your second clue. See if you can guess where I am before I say, which will be in a few minutes, of course. Yeah, so start of another week. It's Monday, 6th of September 2021 today. Planning a full 5 days on the run, first in quite a while, probably the last 2 months. I think I've done one full 5 day week because of bank holidays, van being in the garage, having a week off, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I said I'm not in tourist mode anymore, but kind of a bit touristy this evening. Last week was starting to get a bit cold, and I thought, oh, autumn's starting early or whatever. But no, it's absolutely balmy today. High 20s in the van, bit sweaty. But yeah, where I've tipped up at the end of the day, I had a nice walk down the beach. A bit more clips of that later. So anyway, yeah, let's start it off with fuel prices. So UK Fuels, which is a Shell card for UK Fuels, 107.39, so that's pretty dear. And BWC or BWOC, that's gone up a fair bit as well. That's 106.21, which is the one I'll be using because it's over a penny cheaper. And with the VAT, for those who are wondering, it's 127.45 pence a litre. So the fuel price had been getting higher, and then it kind of plateaued and it dropped down a bit, but now it seems to have kicked up again, which is a pain. But not a lot you can do about it, really. Jobs are selling a bit for a bit more money, I think, at the moment, so it's not too bad, really. Yeah, so I started this morning, usual Monday. I try and make, as long as I'm on it by like 10ish on a Monday morning, I'm alright, because I'm away all week, or willing to be, so get a few things done in the morning. Actually went for a run before I had my shower and that, just to get a bit of exercise in. Yeah, and to be honest with you, the feed was a bit slow when I got on like 10:05, like the West Midlands, and it was Monday, and probably just because I was used to it last week when it was a bank holiday, normally busier. Yeah, it was a bit slow, I'd say, than I was expecting. I did actually get a job after about half an hour. I actually got the second job phoned me up, I'd already accepted the first one. So yeah, and the job was Birmingham, sort of central-ish Birmingham, just south of just north of the Ring Road, so just outside the new clean air zone, the CAS, but that doesn't affect me because I'm Euro 6 anyway. It was one of them jobs that I got it, went there, didn't realise until I got there. I've done this pickup before, probably the same shipper. Bit of a wait because it's like pick up at 11:30. I got there like just before 11, so I chased up one non-payer. Who's been annoying me, but it's just a cancellation fee one. Quite often find when you have to chase money, it's cancellation fees, so that they don't want to pay it because you didn't actually move anything, but cancellation fee is cancellation fee. So he said he's going to pay that, so hopefully I get it going this week. So I had a bit of a wait, and then it wasn't really ready. I wasn't loaded and out of there until like 20 minutes after it was booked in for, so like 10 to 12 I got away from there. It was down to Reading, one strange pallet, a long pallet, 2.4 metres by 1.2, forklift with long forks. There's absolutely no weight to it. It was some kind of like promotional plasticky vinyl-y banner things. Not banners, hard to say, something to do, it was Smirnoff vodka printed on them, and it was stacked high, very delicate, so I put the straps around it but couldn't really tighten up at all, really. So I didn't want to squash them down and damage them. Anyway, that just went to some print promotion-y type material place down in Reading Industrial Estate. There's another guy on the job with this. There's actually 3 vans, but I think I did see the 3rd van when I drove off. I think he just turned up, but yeah, the other guy had a bit of a chin wag of him. It's nice to catch up with drivers. And I saw him at the tip as well. and I parked up there, and then the feed there again wasn't particularly busy. By that time it was like just gone 2 o'clock. Probably had like 45 minutes, maybe an hour to get my next job. Because I was in Reading, my catchment area for jobs. I was getting notifications for like Slough and sort of kind of like Westish London, sort of Heathrow way, which is normally a lot of jobs come out of there. It's normally a busy place, but there's loads of people there anyway, lots of competition. Just didn't seem that busy. It's even getting like WD postcodes and stuff, Watford way, and HP, Hemel Hempstead, GU's, Guildford, but jobs coming out, but not as much as I kind of expect. I think it's just a Monday effect. But eventually a job pinged up from a shipper, from a job from Newbury, and I thought, I know where that's going to pick up, because I've done 2 jobs for these before. It's been the same each time, picking up surgical equipment and take it to hospitals. And it's like, I didn't notice on this one, but the last one I did was something to do with doing surgery on people on their backs. So like, I think this company just hire out specialist surgical equipment to hospitals when they need it. Obviously there must be thousands of combinations of, you know, jigs and all sorts. And the last one I did was, it was something to do with disc replacement in your back. Didn't actually see on this one what it was. And that was going, well, it was a small van job, 162 miles. I went in at 155 quid. Said I was 17 miles from it. Got the job. So that's pretty good, 155, 162 miles. But a small van. I put in a notes, long wheelbase van I'm in. And I got it, but it was actually quicker to get there, because it was 12 miles instead of 17, just the way the quickest route Google showed me. And on the way here, instead of 162, as in, you guessed it, I'm in Torquay, that's what that was. So quite nice to come down here. I did do a pickup here last year in the old van when I tipped further down the coast and I got a job. So I drove to Torquay Seafront and picked up some dental implants and took them to Birmingham, but I never really had a chance to look at Torquay because on the job. So I had a good wander around Torquay, but on the way down here, instead of being 162 miles going M4, M5, it's actually just as quick, or like 4 minutes slower, but a lot shorter going A34, A303, then M5 for a bit, and then branch off and come down to Torquay. Beautiful drive down here. I like the A303 past Stonehenge and rolling countryside. Quite a nice road that. And then coming into Torquay, the main road, I think it's the A380 or something. It was like 20, nearly 30-minute delay on that. So it sent me via Teignmouth, along the coast, along the tops. Over Teignmouth, there's like a bridge, sort of causeway. You cross the river, the estuary. That was absolutely spectacular, that was. I really want to go to Teignmouth now. Either on this job or on holiday or something. Because that looked absolutely stunning, that place. Estuary thing, so that's on the list to do now. Then we got down here, tipped to a private hospital. It seems to be private hospitals with this job. So done alright. Money wise for today's 112 and 155. 267 for the day, which considering I started just after 10 isn't bad really. About 9 hours from starting 10. I got the job at 10:30 and I tipped just before 6, no, just before 7, sorry. So that's, even if it took 10 and 7, that's 9 hours. Pretty good going that. I think after costs probably around £20 an hour max. That's pretty good. So plan now is I'm just gonna, it's really balmy tonight, really warm. I think I'm gonna be proper warm in the back of the van, but not a lot I can do about it. It's September's mad. I'm gonna move closer to the main A380 road. It's a retail park there, an industrial estate, find somewhere there to kip. Just so I'm closer to that road and being out of Torquay itself, because it might be a bit of a pain to get out in the morning when the traffic's about. yeah, and once I'm near that road, I can maybe do Exeter and all that kind of area. Should hopefully be okay. Bit of a quiet area. Took a chance coming down here, but like I say, the feed wasn't that busy. I kind of knew if I did this job, I could have a look around Torquay. So I'm a bit touristy, but still earned decent money. Yeah, so I'll put a few extra clips on here, and a bit of an explanation about the second clue. Yeah, that's Monday done.
I know nothing. I know nothing. No, nothing. No, forget that. I forget everything. I know nothing. No, you can tell him. You can tell him. I cannot. Yes, tell him. Tell him. Tell him. Oh, tell him. Please. Tell him. Tell him. No, I know nothing. I am from Barcelona.
Yep, I know nothing. Of course, was Manuel from Fawlty Towers, which was set in Torquay. I did notice when I was walking around there was a chippy called Salty Towers, which I thought was pretty good. Yeah, so yeah, nice to have a look around Torquay yesterday. Watching some people fishing, catching mackerel. It was mad. The mackerel were like jumping out of the water right next to the harbour side. It's nuts. I've heard of them doing this, but I've never actually seen it. You could actually see them chasing a little fish around, a little sprat or whitebait, whatever they were. And the guys were just chucking their feathers off the side of the wall. They didn't even have to cast out. They were catching them. Yeah, it was quite a good evening last night. I actually tramped where I parked by the hospital because it was a real flat area, real quiet road. And then I looked at like places I could go, and it was getting late by that point, and I just thought I can't be bothered moving. I just stop here. And in the morning, I just started looking for jobs for R7, which moved closer to the main road, the A380, to get out of town. It was very, very slow. I knew it was going to be quite slow down here, but like proper slow. In the end, I got a job. I had to just take anything that got me sort of away from the area. A bid on a job out of Exeter, long wheelbase, 44 miles loaded. I was like 16 miles from it. Went in at 60 quid, which is £1 a mile, all miles. Didn't get it straight away, but got it. The only thing was, it was taking me not really. It was taking me east, but not to a great area. I forget what the place is called, but it was on the way to Dorchester. I put it on the screen. So I tipped that, had my lunch. It was just picking up from a builder's building wholesalers, not really a builder's merchant, one that just specialises in insulation and stuff. And it was, yeah, one pack of insulation boards, handballed on, 2-minute job, handballed off, 2-minute job. It went to some building site. They're building new houses. I'm at dinner after that, and then feed was still quiet. So I thought I'll head towards Dorchester, park up there, because that's like, you know, a proper town. There might be some industry stuff there, and then I'm not too far from Poole, and maybe Bournemouth. Sat in a lay-by in just outside Dorchester. Found a lay-by, gravel lay-by on it's like a kind of a bit of a country road in the shade, because it was absolutely roasting again today. Still warm now. Don't think I slept well last night just because it was too hot. So I'll try and weigh a bit less tonight. Yeah. And I sat there for hours and hours and hours, to the point where I thought, right, I'm going to change my settings to notifications from 50 miles from around Dorchester. That's going up Bath, outskirts of South Bristol, you know, Weston-super-Mare, all the other places like Salisbury, including Poole and Bournemouth, and there was like bugger all coming up really. Or if it was coming up, it was really far from it, and it was like smaller van jobs. So I was bidding on stuff like totally out of hope more than expectation. Yeah, and didn't get anything. Maybe one job every 10 minutes pinging up in that whole area. So I don't know why it's so quiet down here. It shouldn't be that quiet. You know, Bournemouth and Poole, reasonable sized places. So yeah, yesterday's going to Torquay didn't work out, obviously, because I've done that one job today, 60 quid, so 60 quid day. So it's a bit of a shocker, that. Worst day I've had since a while back when I did one of a job to Norwich quite late a while back, and then the following day I had a job in the morning that fell through, and I got 30 quid cancellation. Was it 25 quid? And then that was it for the day, and today is it 60 quid, one job. So yeah, last week was really good. You know, every now and then you get like a £400 plus day, but you also get the odd sub £100 day. And I'm just kind of telling myself now, when I have these, you know, it's just rough for the smooth, you got to accept them working like this. But it still kind of gets you down a bit, to be honest. Still feel a bit gutted about today. So yeah, I'm going to do another 26 dead miles now to go to Poole, to the Tesco's, where I've slept in the car park for a couple of times at least, because it's no time limit. It's quite quiet away from the main road. Big thing. It's a Cinnamano as well. And then hopefully, you know, I'm going to get up early tomorrow and get a job. I really will need to have a good day now to make up for today. Yeah, bit of a shocker today. But that's how it goes. Excuse me, sometimes. Right, Wednesday night now, about 9 o'clock-ish. Better day today, thank God, after yesterday. So yeah, decent day in terms of earnings, which is kind of made up for a bit for yesterday. But the day wasn't without its challenges, which I'll get to. So 2 jobs today. I tramped in the Tesco's in Poole, which is like a place I've stayed at least twice, maybe 3 times before now. So from down Poole area, I just go there now because I know it's pretty quiet away from the main road, and I know most importantly for a supermarket or any kind of car park, there's no restricted parking, no like maximum 2 hours or 3 hours or anything like that. A few boy races, but they kind of clear off before it gets too late. Got up this morning, started looking at about 7:30, and to be honest, it was really quiet initially. Not really much busier than it was when I was like Torquay and stuff the previous morning. And I was a bit shocked how quiet it was down sort of Bournemouth, Poole area, because there's a fair bit of, you know, industrial estates and stuff down there, and I've been down there a few times. I know he's got a job, but maybe I've just been getting lucky again. And this time my kind of luck ran out maybe. And then it got to like 10ish, and I thought, that's 2.5 hours, no job, very little popping up. So it's not even as if, you know, I'm just not getting jobs, it's just there's very little jobs. But then a job, I was getting a bit desperate at that point, getting a bit, yeah. And then a job pinged up Poole, which I was 3 miles from, going to Utox to ST14, or actually says roster, which basically I knew straight away it's like pretty certain, almost entirely certain that it's going to go to JCB, but I thought I don't care, just that gets me north, gets me in the Midlands. So I was only 3 miles from it. It was a short wheelbase van job, to be fair. I priced it at 85 pence a mile, including getting there, but it's only 3 miles. It came out as £183, but I normally round slightly up, but this time I thought I'll round slightly down to 180. Bid straight away, so within like 30 seconds of it being, or maybe a minute of it being posted, and it didn't say e-quotes only, so when it's really quiet and stuff, it doesn't say that, rang them, because then they know a bit more, you know, they get to know, you know, you're polite and stuff, and then they might like to get the job. And a bit of time to chat this shipper, which is, you do get sometimes, quite chatty, and he's saying, oh yeah, we'll do that, but I just need to call the shipper back, the end customer back, and tell him it's definitely on, because we're struggling to get jobs covered at the moment. I can't imagine he's talking about jobs in that area, because one thing about that area, it was pretty quiet, and you look at who's around me, there's not exactly loads of people there like it would be in the Midlands or the Northwest, but it's a lot busier than, say, further along the coast in Brighton area. I normally do better in Brighton area. I think there's more jobs and less people there than there is in like Poole, Bristol and Southampton, Portsmouth kind of way. So that kind of shocked me a bit, and he was saying about the customer. He goes, oh, it's going to JCB, and I says, oh yeah, I know that. And he goes, some people hate going there, and I says, yeah, those been alright. And he goes, yeah, we've actually been doing this job for 25 years. They did have a really low CX number, taking goods from this supplier into JCB. And he says that JCB actually part own this company. So when he got a job, went and picked it up. Turned out to be like, I didn't see what was in a box. It was a big box on a pallet, just like lashed to the pallet, banded. I could see in a place it's like the rigid hydraulic lines. Obviously JCB diggers have the flexible hydraulic lines, rubber ones, but they also have the hard steel ones that are bolted to the digger itself and the arms and that, and look like they made them. But it went really well, the pickup, in terms of I got loaded probably within 15-20 minutes, but I did have a bit of an issue with the guy that loaded me. So I walked up as normal, where it says dispatch, went in there, there's a lady there, it says, I'm from such and such courier, picking up goods for JCB, blah blah blah. And she says, oh, okay, fair enough, I'll just go and find out about it. And then there's a guy who, like, there's a mezzanine floor directly above the door at the back of the warehouse, and he shouts over, what is it, mate? Is it a pallet or a box? I didn't know, it didn't say in the notes. It just said the weight and the dimensions, so I told him the weight and the dimensions, and then he comes down, and he asked me again. I told him the weight, and he goes, oh, it's definitely this one then. Brings me the paperwork to sign before he brings the goods out, because I think they hadn't arranged the courier, maybe, or maybe JCB had, or whatever. So quite often you have to sign for goods to be released, because you're picking up on behalf of whoever sent you in. So I signed one, and he gave me one copy, and I said, oh, any chance I could have 2 copies, one to give to them, and then I could get one to sign as a proof of delivery that end. And he goes, oh no, just give that to them, you don't need a copy. I'm like, well, I kind of asked for one, I wouldn't bother asking if I didn't want one. I says, no bother, mate, I'll just have to make my own. I got a blank pod book, which if anyone's ever wondered what I use, not sure how well it'll toe up. Pucker pads, get them off of here, Amazon or eBay or whatever. That's the one I use. I did use another one initially, but they stopped making that one, so I've moved on to these pucker pads. They're absolutely fine, just a duplicate's fine. Some are triplet, but you don't even need to be duplicate really, because it's handy just as a reference, possibly in the future, but I've never needed a duplicate. Yeah, so he's kind of like telling me the job then, anyway, so I just, whatever. And then he goes off, and then he brings a pallet out, so I've got the van all open, doors back, ready to load. He puts it in the back, and he says, is that all right for you there? And I says, oh, if you can just put it on a bit further, because it needs to go in like more than just about on, so I can get the straps over nicely. And he starts to do it, and I says, oh yeah, and I'm just saying, oh yeah, clear, because what I've noticed is with some forklift drivers, they don't realise how close their mast is, the mast of the fork, to the bumper. They're just looking at where the pallet is and going, oh, you want it in more, I'll just drive more, with no idea how close the mast is to the bumper. So I says, oh yeah, if you just go back and lift it up slightly and push it in, please. And he goes, just opens the door on the forklift. This one is on the cab, says, I've been a forklift driver for 22 years, you don't need to tell me what to do. And I said, and then he pushed it in a tiny, a bit kind of thing, but not enough ideally, and then he starts to reverse out or whatever. So I thought I was just totally out of order. So as he was walking away, I walked up to the forklift and says, I'm not telling you how to drive a forklift. I'm telling you where I want the load, because I know where the lashing eyes are on the van. I know where the straps need to go to make sure it's secure. And he just kind of like pulled a face and goes, "Oh, when you ratchet strapping it up, make sure you don't do them too tight and damage the goods." So basically, he's just being an ass, because I don't think he expected me to take issue with the way he was talking to me and stuff. So then he just buggered off, and then I just wrapped up and left. But you do get that sometimes. They got a bit of a reputation, people who work in warehouse and dispatch, for being miserable. Quite often that is the case, but not always. You get some really nice, chipper, helpful people, to the point where when you do get them, it's almost like takes me by surprise sometimes. Quite often you feel like you're just putting them out kind of thing, but you're not really, because it's their job, you know what I mean. And if there's a wait, if they're busy, they should just say, "Sorry mate, it's going to be a little while because I'm busy," or "There's loads of people waiting," or whatever. Fair enough. But anyway, this guy wound me up a bit. I wasn't in the best mood. Not in the best fettle today because of yesterday, and didn't sleep again very well. I was in the van last night, just too warm, too muggy and sticky. So I wasn't in the mood for putting up with that. But if you ever have my advice is, if you do get spoken to like that, as long as you're constructive and don't start swearing at them or anything, it's quite right just to say you're out of order and explain why. And like I did, I says, "I'm not telling you how to do your job, I'm just telling you where I want to load, because that's my job. I got to secure the thing and get it safely to wherever it's going." Yeah, so a bit pissed off about that, to be honest. So anyway, got out there, really quick drive up to JCB. Got there, it's mid-afternoon, about 2:30. Place was busy. Quite often when I get there, it's a bit later, but it looked busy, like loads of the trucks and vans waiting to get in. So I thought, I might have a bit of a wait here. But it took me 4.5 hours from getting a job to getting there. So I thought, if I tip within half an hour, it's 5 hours for 180 quid. That's a good pounds per hour rate. As it happened, whatever I had on board must have been quite urgent, because they just didn't even give me the buzzer to go and wait and then come in when the buzzer goes off. They just says, "Yeah, go straight to security, show them that, and I'll let you straight in." So I thought, sweet, did that. Tipped in a different bay this time to every different time I've been there before, like the other side of the factory. Yeah, very busy, lots of forklifts, JCB forklifts, the teleforks. Yeah, so got that one tipped. It's good money on that in the end in terms of pounds per hour. Not fantastic pence per mile, but got me further north. And I could see as soon as I'd changed my home location for notifications, which was set to Poole to Gloucester, I could see immediately like the feed up there was a lot busier because those notifications coming through as I was driving, so I can just see the banner popping up. So I can't look at it because I'm driving, but it's kind of, it was busy up there. So when I got up there, parked in Roster again, got myself an ice cream, checked the feed, and then a job pinged up, Derby to Manchester. Was a long wheelbase job, 3 pallets, said handball, so it was 80 miles. I quoted, I was about 21 miles from it or something, so I bid 100 quid thinking it's got handball on it, 3 pallets worth. Rings me up to get a job, so I just said, "Is it pallet handball both sides, or is it loaded with a pallet and then handball off?" And he says, "Yeah, if it's going to be any handball, it's going to be handball off but forked on." I says, "All right, as long as they're happy to take the pallets." And he says, "Oh yeah, they'll keep the pallets. Yeah, you can't go back and all this blah blah blah." Got the job, send it through. I didn't notice initially, but I think they must have changed the pickup postcode because it was further away in Derby. It turned out to be right next to East Midlands Airport, D74 is it or something like that, East Midlands Gateway, from a massive logistics, one of the big international companies. But I got in pretty quick, got on the bay, got loaded. I was probably there half hour, which isn't too bad for one of them. And it was apparently COVID testing supplies, PCR tests. So the change in postcode had made it, instead of being 21 miles to get there, it was more like 32 miles or something like that. And then the job had gone from 80 to 89 miles. And I thought, I just couldn't be bothered ringing them. I should have done, really, to tell you what's going on here. But I didn't bother because I kind of knew the way it had plotted a route. It had me going like up the M1 and over the M62. And I just thought I'll go cross country over the Pennines, save a load of miles. It was 4 minutes longer in terms of time. Saved a lot of miles, so it ended up being 90 odd pence a mile anyway, all in pence per mile. Get to the COVID testing centre, just in a car park, part of the uni, one of the unis. I think there's more than one in Manchester. Rock up, and they weren't expecting it, and they're going, "Is all that for us?" And I'm like, yeah, it's all for you, and on the pallets. And he's, "Oh yeah, don't worry, we'll sort the pallets out." So I was, sweet, they're not going to argue about that. And handballed it off. There was loads of them, so I just put the boxes at the end of the van, and then they took it from there, and then I left the pallets with them. So yeah, 15-minute tip. So handball isn't always that bad. So that was a day. So it was 100 quid for that and 180 for the first one. Early part of the week I was on, like, up until Tuesday morning I was close to £1 a mile all miles. But yesterday, driving from a tip yesterday all the way to Poole in 2 chunks, first to Dorchester then to Poole, that was like 40 odd dead miles. So that dropped me down to just over 85, 86, 87, 88 or something. And mileage today I'm on about 87.5 now to date, and I'm kind of made up for yesterday's crap day, and Monday was ahead of target as well. So I think I worked out I am £53 down on where I should be. So 3 days in, I should be targeting minimum 660. I'm on 607. So not the end of the world, but again, yeah, bit of a trying week so far. Just obviously yesterday was a bit of a disaster. Today, bit of grief and kind of getting messed around with shippers. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt on that one. Sometimes the CX does do some little things, I think, regards mileage. But anyway, that is Wednesday done. Right, Thursday night now, about 9:30. Better day today. 2 jobs, pretty much back on track in terms of target earnings. Yeah, so I actually woke up fairly early this morning, Manchester, so I started looking probably 6:45. Didn't get a job until just gone 10, or was it, no, sorry, just gone 8. 8:30 maybe. Yeah, it was 8:30 I was got a job. It was only a short wheelbase job. It was 2 collections in Manchester area. The first I was really close to, like a few miles from, and going down to southwest Wales. So it was all miles, it was 209 miles, of which like 204 were loaded. Because yeah, I had 5 miles, I think it was, actually, to get to the first collection. So I thought, if I'm going to go for that, it's going to have to be decent money. So I'll make them an offer I can't refuse, which is what Pete always says. Jobs like this, you know, not a job offer they can't refuse. Don't go cheap, go what you can realistically do it for. And if they were willing to pay that, then yeah, you can't refuse the job, even if it's going to a strange place out of the way. So I just didn't really do too many calculations. I just thought 240, and I thought I'd take a few quid off 237, and he rang me and gave me it straight away, and it worked out 85 pence a mile. I could do the job and then drive 70 miles before I go below 85 pence a mile for the money on the job. So, and it was like 40-mile drive from where the tip was back towards Swansea, Neath Swansea way. So yeah, I thought that works out fine. So not the best. First pickup was from a warehouse, like a big logistics company. Had an hour there just waiting around. They're just slow, I think, and they forgot about me. eventually got loaded. One pallet, quite a long pallet, 1.8 by 1.2, 1.2 meters tall. Could see straight away it was solar panels. And then the second pickup was an electrical distributor. So I thought, I'm just going to go there. They're just going to give you some extra stuff and I'm going to crack on. And he goes, oh, we're going to have to take that pallet off, put some more stuff on it, and then load it back on. I was like, great, okay. Can't really complain, but all right. Turns out there was more panels than they thought, because it was a full pallet of panels. So they took the pallet off. They only wanted 14 of these panels apparently. And God knows how many was there, but I took less than half I took there, if you know what I mean, delivered there. And I think they put some, well, they didn't put some other stuff in it actually, it was just the panels. Reloaded me, so I was there about half an hour. It didn't turn out to be too bad. And then quite a nice drive down to Wales, through mid Wales, sort of Welshpool, Newtown. I cocked up around Chester, so I went right for the middle of Chester. That delayed me a bit. That was me. That confused me, but I really should know better around that part of the world, because you know I'm kind of not far from there where I'm from. And I was just getting towards Llandrindod Wells, which the A483, which has got to be the twistiest road I know of in the UK. There's just no straight on it from leaving Newtown to get into Llandrindod Wells, or very, very, very little straight. I mean, you're always turning left or right. It's a crazy road, beautiful scenery. I did this route a few months back when I went down from Newcastle to Milford Haven. But just as I was getting towards Llandrindod Wells, the shipper rang me and says, oh, the customers just rang us and changed the delivery address. And I was like, okay, where to? And she goes, oh, it's on the outskirts of Cardiff. Is that okay? And I was like, yes. Yeah, I was like, yeah, okay, that's fine. Yeah, just put the update the book in, and I'll pull over when it's safe and lay-by in, change the sat nav and stuff. And it actually turned out it wasn't any shorter. Well, it's 2 miles short. It was still 72 miles to go to original drop. It was 70 miles to where I was going, but it was actually 5 minutes longer it was going to take me. But obviously I had good money on a job, because I'd put extra money on to get me back towards civilization to Neath. Now the job was going to Cardiff, which is, you know, better than Neath. Cardiff area. Pontyclun it was, or something like that. Yeah, so I went there, met the fitters. It stopped just before 4 o'clock by the time I got there. Got tipped, so yeah, it was probably like a 7.5 hour job, because I did cock up last night. I normally fill up with diesel in the evening. When I realised I'm below half a tank, I just totally forgot last night, so just over a quarter tank. So I stop for diesel during the day, which is something I don't like to do because it just wastes time. If you're tramping, you kind of get all this stuff done in the evening when you're free, you know, so you can just concentrate on making money in the day. And then I stopped as well just to grab a sandwich. So between the two, there's probably 20-25 minutes there. So it's like a 7.5 hour job for 237 quid. Really good miles, pence per mile, like 210 miles for 237 quid. So yeah, that was a good job. That's kind of saved my well, the best thing that's happened to me this week is kind of like perked me up a bit, because I was kind of like struggling a bit. I think there's some shaggers. I mean, it's like a little car park, and there's a car there. I thought no one was in it, but the lights just came on. I think they might be shagging, I don't know. That's the problem with parking in these car parks and stuff. You do worry sometimes there might be like doggers and stuff, or worse. So lock the doors on the van. Anyway, yeah, pretty sound guys. Apparently the electrical factory had cocked up and sent the wrong size panels, so that's why, hence the job came about. So that put me in Pontyclun, so 237 for the day, getting late afternoon. That's the problem. Part of this job was when I got to the last leg of a job from the electrical factors to the original tip, it was going to be like 193 miles, and it said 4.5 hours, and I worked out that's an average of 42 miles if I manage to stick to Google Maps satellite view, which I don't generally tend to do on country roads, because assumes you're in a car and you can do 60, and can't really do it in that, so I rarely do 60 on single carriageway roads, because I can only by law do 50, of course. So it's probably more like 40 mile an hour average, and that's with no traffic or anything, no roadworks or traffic jams, because it's country roads and stuff. Whereas if you go on the motorways, you could average 70 mile an hour if it's free running and there's not much traffic. Just getting on for double that. Something you need to take into account, really. But I did manage to get one extra job, which was a small van job from Bridgend to Newport. Where I was, Pontyclun was halfway between Cardiff and Bridgend, so I wasn't far from it. It's 30 miles all in. I went in at 35 because it was a small van job. Got it. Yeah, just picked up a few parcels from a logistics company and took them to a parcel depot, DHL, and that was that. Had an Indian tonight, had a biryani, chicken tikka, and I have got a job booked in for the morning, which is behind where you are, end of that road, for the morning, but it's collecting at 6. It's a small van job going to Northampton, priced at just below 85 pence a mile, including getting 10 miles from it. Got the job. It's quite cheap, I think. Well, I don't know. It's a small van job, so probably on the money, if not a bit rich. But that should get me there, maybe tipped in Northampton by 9, and then I got to do 100 quid to meet the minimum target for the 5 days, 1100 quid. So yeah, I'm not going to do that thing, cross fingers thing, because it didn't work for me the other day. But yeah, that's a week so far. End of Thursday. Gair Cymraeg y Dydd. Welsh word of the day. Almost forgot. I've moved away now because I didn't want to interrupt the shaggers. I didn't really want to cock block anyone, so I've moved, even though that was an ideal spot to tramp. I've moved down the road. It's around the corner. Industrial estate seems to be quite quiet here as well. Something else to mention, I did actually go for a shower, which was quite nice, in Cardiff Gate Services. Just a one shower there, which is a bit poor really. So I had to wait for one guy, so that didn't turn out too bad. A bit nice to get a shower because it's been a bit of a hot, stinky week. It's amazing how much fresher, just less tired. Having a good shower makes you feel sometimes. And you feel fresher. Yes, so that brings me on to today's Welsh word of the day, which is poeth, which means hot, because it's been pretty hot so far this week, but it's finally gone down today. It's much fresher today, even it's still slightly muggy, I'd say. Still warm, I'd say. 17 degrees it's saying on the van now, and it's almost 10 o'clock at night. Yeah, so I'm not going to put it on the screen, because if I do, if you read it in English, you don't pronounce it right. It's just poeth. So the Welsh word of the day is hot, or poeth, which means hot, of course. Right, Friday evening now, about 7:30. I actually got home about 5 o'clock, but I had a few things to do before I filmed this, which means I forgot. Okay, yeah, so where'd start this morning, went and did that pickup, got there like 10 to 6. I'd obviously slept just around the corner, so I went there at 10 to 6. Straight in, 5 packs of laminate. It was only a small van job. Straightforward drive. It was actually dark when I woke up. That's the earliest wake up, and collection I've done for a while, and obviously days are getting shorter at the moment. Yeah, it's proper pitch black when I opened the door. I thought, yeah, winter's coming, isn't it? Yeah, it's a straightforward pickup, straightforward drive, pretty much. Yeah, and then I dropped it to a private address. It was like a little terraced house, old terraced house in the middle of the town, and it's quite like a major road going through it, like an A road. So it wasn't ideal and it was real tight, but luckily when I was parked there, no trucks came, just cars, so it was alright. And they weren't in, so I knocked on a door, and then a neighbour came out and says, oh, they're both in work. Shall I take it? And I says, yeah, great. doing CX jobs, I'm always a bit more weary about leaving it with neighbours, but it's, you know, doing parcel deliveries, it's, you know, running the mill, it just happens. But yeah, she opened a side alley which was like blocked by a wooden door, so I put them in there, she signed for it, and then their copy I posted through the proper addresses, the proper house number, not the neighbours, and I wrote on it it's with number 17 because it was number 19. So yeah, started off, get out the hell out the way, and it didn't help, it was actually raining quite hard at the time. Parked up just down the road, feed was really busy, but quite often, you know, it's really busy, but it's the same jobs that keep pinging up, which kind of gets a bit annoying, like every minute, you know what I mean? Because obviously the shippers want it to be at the top of the feed. They don't want, if we just leave it on there, it get pushed down and down and down. So I can see why they do it, but it kind of gets annoying. So sometimes it looks busy when it kind of is, but when they're doing that, that's a sign that it's busy, and not getting many quotes. I had a bid out on a few jobs, both for 70 miles. I bid 90 on one, which is one collection, one drop, and then I bid 95 on the other one, which was one collection, two drops. I think I was like similar distance from both. One of them rang me. I've done the couple of jobs for them before. That was a one collection, one drop one, a 90 quid one. It says, oh yeah, can you do anything with the price? And I says, well, I'll maybe go down to 85. And he goes, oh, I'm looking for 70 really, which would be £1 a mile. And he says, no, I can't go that low. And he said, fair enough. And that was the end of that. You know, it was all very amicable. You know what I mean? That's just how it is somewhere. You try and negotiate. If you can't meet somewhere, then you don't do it. That's it. For me, 70 mile job isn't a £1 a mile job. It needs to be more than £1 a mile. Around about 100 mile is like £1 a mile. That's the way I think of it now. Anything over 100 miles, probably trying to go a bit, possibly slightly a bit less, particularly when it gets up to like long jobs like 200. Because, you know, 40 quid is like 20 miles. Minimum charge up to 20 miles. And that's kind of including getting there, sort of ish. And there's other factors as well, but that's kind of roughly how I think of it these days. And then as soon as that guy hung up, the phone rang again. It was a second job. And with these, I kind of knew they were going to try and knock a bit of money off. That's why I put an extra £5 on, even though it was like an extra drop on the other job. I prefer this shipper. I know they're like, you know, they're a big firm, really reputable, pay on the dot kind of thing already. So I was happy to do it for 90 anyway, but I put 95 on. They says, can you do it for 90? I was like, yeah. That kind of, that £5 extra factored in. Got it. One collection from a massive thing. It was the first tyre job I've ever done. So the van was full of tyres, 977 kilograms worth. Had two drops. I couldn't quite get all of them in for the second drop, but they said that's fine. To be honest, we should have ordered 2 vans for this. So yeah, had to amend the paperwork. Got the paperwork. First drop, I thought it was going to be going to, like, you know, tyre depots where you can take your van or your car or whatever. And the second one was, but the first one wasn't. It was another massive warehouse, a tyre what do they call them, wholesaler. Obviously they supply garages and stuff from there, and also they do batteries and exhaust by the sound of the name. That was in Worcester. And then the second drop, the only issue there was it was kind of like midday lunchtime, so I had to wait 20 minutes because the guy was on his lunch. And then there's like 15 minutes, 20 minutes to unload, so maybe I was there 40 minutes. And then I got to the second one, which was just, you know, I've actually been there before with my old car. It's in Droitwich, not far from the Amazon depot. I went there before. I don't know if it's for tyres, it might have been a puncture repair, so I've actually been a customer of this place. And he goes, oh, we're just going on our lunch now, mate. You're all right to wait 30 or 40 minutes? And I thought, not really. I says, I'm happy to unload myself. So it was around the back, and he goes, I'll tell you what, if you unload and put them in piles of tyre type, because there's only like 25 tyres for this one. The first one had 3/4 of a load of the load. I'll just come around and quickly check them off. I'm happy to do that. So yeah, we came to sort of an agreement there. He got to have his lunch, and I only interrupted him for 5 minutes. Got that one off. I was in Droitwich then, as I say, there was Amazon there. I was just too late to get the sort of early afternoon blocks from Worcester. We call it Worcester in the app, the Amazon Flex app, but it's actually Droitwich, WR9. I was probably like half an hour too late to get one of them. And there were jobs for later in the afternoon, but I didn't want to wait around. And I know if I do one of them, it's going to be same day, which is more spread out, driving between each drop. Whereas if I do early afternoon, like 1, 2 o'clock, it's standard delivery, and it's, you know, loads and loads of properties close together and multiple packages for each property. I haven't done any flex in a while, so I wouldn't have minded doing some of that, to be honest, just for a change, but it didn't work out. And then I was bidding on a I think I was like £7 or something short of my minimum target for the week, 5 days, 1,100 quid. So I thought I'd get one more job in. Bid on a few jobs local to Birmingham. This one was alright, Taylor Woe. This vlog this week's going to be really long. But yeah, I bid on it. It was Birmingham, centre of Birmingham, pretty much. Not like city centre, but just sort of very central. It was only 3 miles or something like that, but you know, it's quite busy to feed. Maybe not as busy as it has been on Fridays, but still busy. I thought, well, that's minimum charge, long wheelbase, 40 quid. He rings me up after a little while and says, he's still available for that job. You quoted from blah 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 to blah blah blah. It's going to Smethwick, just by the M5. When you quote for 40 quid, I says, yeah, still available. He says, right, I'll send it over. Job comes through, checking through the details, which I always do, and I always check the price on it to make sure it's what I quoted. I've never had an issue until this one. It said 30 quid. I thought, well, I quoted 40 quid. I mean, I'm sure the guy said the one I'd quoted 40 quid for. So I was thinking, is he trying to pull a fast one here, or have I typoed it, maybe hit 3 instead of 4? But then I tried to phone them, say, no, I'm not doing it for 30 quid, 40 quid's my price. Couldn't get through. Just straight to answer phone. It was saying their answer phone inbox was full. So I phoned 3 times, that happened. So then I thought, what can I do? I can decline a job, but I need to message them first. So I texted him on the phone number because it was a mobile number. And then I went into the CX website on Google Chrome or whatever on my phone. So not in the app, on the actual website where you can do and see a lot more. Went to a job, declined it, and you can also message a shipper on there. So basically I sent the same message I'd sent by text, and also said I'd text them. So if there was any comeback, I was thinking, they say to the CX, oh, you didn't do the job, didn't turn up to the customer, I can say, well, I cancelled, so I couldn't get through on the phone. I sent them a text, and I sent them a message on the CX app, and I obviously declined the job, so they'll get notified of that. So that was it, bit pissed off, start looking for other jobs, and then another job comes through from the same shipper, going from Lichfield to Newhaven by Brighton. I thought, what the hell is this? I haven't bid on that job. It turns out it was for an Arctic, full Arctic load, 13.6 metre load length, 195 miles. Quite interested in this because I get to see what a job sold for an Arctic. 700 quid. That's pretty much what, shade over £3.50 a mile. So I go to ring him again, thinking, well, I've got to ring him now and tell him you sent me a job through and it's obviously the wrong job, and I need to talk to you about the other job, which I've declined now. So I tried ringing again, and I actually answered this time, and I said, you just sent me a job, a random job. And he goes, oh yeah, sorry, I've sent it to the wrong CX number. You're on the other job, aren't you? And I said, well, I'm not anymore because I've declined it because you sent it through for too little money. And I had actually, when I declined it, I went back into the app and then it showed my quote, and it was 40 quid. So I did quote 40 quid, so he changed it. says, I'm not doing it now because you changed it to 30 and I couldn't get hold of you to tell you I can't do it for 30. My quote was 40. But then I couldn't get through to you, so I've declined it. And he goes, oh, yeah, sorry about that. Are you still available? And I kind of thought, do I really want to do it? Because it looks like they're just being shady, trying to knock money off. But then I thought, he's getting me closer to home with 40 quid, gets me over target for the week, minimum target. So yeah, I said, okay, I'll do it. Send it through for 40 quid and I'll crack on and get it done. Job comes through. Usual thing, you know, just start heading off. It's a 40-minute drive. It's only like 23 miles or something to pick up, but it's taking me closer to home and it's 40 minutes. 15 minutes from pickup. Some lady phones me from that shipper. So it was a guy there's a chap I was dealing with. The lady phones me and says, oh, I just got your text message. What's going on? Are you still okay to do this job? And I'm like, well, I sent that text probably over an hour ago. I've since, you know, spoke to your colleague again and we've sorted it out and he sent the job through again and I'm cracking on. She says, all right, fair enough, blah, blah, blah. Sorry about that. So either they've saw the text message really late or it's just got delayed in the system and they've received it late. Don't know. Finally get to it. It's a builders merchants, the city centre branch of, not city centre, but central branch of a builders merchant, a big national builders merchant. Go in, go to the office, give them the reference number, tell them who I'm there collecting it on behalf of, which was a pallet network, one of the pallet networks, and then they look it up and they're all looking a bit confused, and then they say, phone somebody on the phone in a different branch who'd apparently organised all this, and he goes, oh yeah, I think you've been sent an error, mate, that's already been collected, because it was a long pallet, 8 foot by 4 foot pallet. So learned a bit about trucks and pallets, and especially pallet networks. They sell it by a pallet space on the truck. So what it was one pallet that takes 2 pallet spaces on a truck, because it's obviously for a pallet network. His job has come from a pallet network. So they thought they need, and I think it was a ton. So they thought they needed, there was 2 pallets each way in a ton, so they'd sent 2 vans in, but the first van had just taken it and there's nothing for me to pick up. So I thought, great, got to phone them again now. Rang them probably the 10th time of trying to ring them. Someone picked up. It's the lady again, explained the situation, and she says, oh yeah, I can't update the booking, I don't work on that system, but I'll make sure they update it in the next half hour. Agreed £25 cancellation fee. So yeah, drove home, still like half an hour drive to do 8 miles home, because rush hour traffic, Birmingham. Get home, doing all my invoicing, which I've been doing before filming this, and then I check it, it's still showing 40 quid, ring them. I rang before I started doing my other invoices, and she says, I'll has he not done it yet? I'll make sure he does it. And he did do it, but what he didn't do, he didn't change the original job, which has got all the job notes of what's progressed up, which is pretty much just when I got to the pickup. I put on notes there what happened. He'd raised another job for the cancellation fee, but guess what? It wasn't for the agreed amount. It wasn't for 25 quid, it was for 20 quid. I just thought, this guy's taking a piss now, you know what I mean? I caught him out trying to knock off money for the original job, and he's still trying it on, so I couldn't be arsed ringing, to be honest. So I've just amended the invoice to 25 quid. It says £25 was agreed on the phone for a cancellation fee. I've amended the invoice to reflect this, and there's no notes on their thing. It kind of, well, it doesn't really, it does a bit really. There's no payment notes for some shippers, so I've sent them an email of the invoice through the system, and then I've also posted a hard copy of the invoice. If there's no payment instructions, I do both, so you're covered both ways. So that's a big tale of woe. That's 16 minutes for this long clip. So yeah, that's all done now. I've done a couple of jobs for this shipper before. That was picking up in Kidderminster, both of them. And I got paid no trouble and stuff. Thought they were a reasonable shipper. The professional outfit, obviously been around a little while. They got a proper unit. It's not, doesn't sound like it's a proper industrial estate unit. It's their address. It's not, it doesn't look like a house address, which some shippers do. So what the hell are we doing here now? I've noticed when I'm getting messed around as if one a few weeks ago where, they just like insufficient, shall we say, instructions, and then you can't get hold of them. It seems to be Fridays, and especially Friday afternoons, you get messed about because you just can't. When something goes wrong, I think they're just in a big. Some of these shippers are struggling on a Friday, but it's clearly understaffed. They need to get more staff in on a Friday. They must know it's going to be busy and difficult to deal with. And it can't be just me getting messed around on Fridays. It seems to happen more often. And it's not going to be good for their customers, is it? Because things are going wrong and they haven't got enough people to cope. It's going to, they're not going to be satisfying their customers, and jobs aren't going to be getting done properly, are they? So, I don't know. I'm just a driver. Keep it simple, less stress. No stress at all this week. Right, so thanks for watching anyway. So I did try and do the update really quickly, later in a week. So this vid isn't even longer. Right, Saturday early evening now, time for a very quick update because this has been a long one. If you watched all the way through, well done and thank you. I'm going to try and make them shorter, make a bit more highlights going forward. So yeah, full 5 days on the run this week. First full 5 days in quite a while. Didn't get home any nights, so 4 nights in the van. So crack straight into the numbers. So yeah, Monday 2 jobs, 112 and 155, which is 267 for the day. Tuesday was the worst day of the week, worst day I've had in a good few months. Absolute shocker of a day, 1 job for 60 quid. Wednesday, best day of the week, earnings wise, 180 and 100 for 280. Thursday, 2 jobs, 237 and 35, which is 272. Friday, 3 jobs, or 2 jobs and a cancellation, so it's 127, 90 and 25, which is 242 for the day. So total 1,121. So that's not too bad really, because after having that second day on Tuesday where I did 60 quid, which is absolutely shocking. Like, so trying to do a target minimum is 220 a day, but all my other days I did over 220, but none of them were exactly stellar days. Those, no £300 days in there. You normally get one of them a week, and then occasionally, like maybe a couple of times a month, for £400 a day. Found day, £400 day, obviously a long day, 12, 13 hours maybe. So I managed to scrape it over my minimum target for the week, but this time of year kind of hoping to do a bit more. So still a bit of a disappointing day in terms of overall earnings. Not a great deal of miles though, so 1,190, which works out as an all miles pence per mile. Leaving the house Monday to getting back Friday afternoon, 94.2 pence a mile, which is pretty good because I've always, since I started this, I thought I need to do at least 85 pence a mile all miles. Tend to do in 90s, occasionally being over £1, sometimes high 80s, and once or twice I've just scraped over target. No additional costs, so no tolls or anything that I can really think of. So after my net for the week, 1121, plus the VAT I get to keep because I'm on a flat rate scheme, and then minus my fixed costs, £20 a day or £100 for the 5 days the week, and then minus my variable costs, which are 30 pence a mile, gives me my rough-ish pre-tax earnings, 753 for the 5 days, which is pretty much 150 a day. So that's not bad really. Trying to do 150. If I do 150 for the day, I'm pretty happy. So it's worked out okay in the end. Yeah, so that's been quite a challenging week. Monday went pretty well. Since that early, earned good money, or decent money. Tuesday, like I say, was an absolute shocker. That really got me down. But I just got to say, it's rough with the smooth in this job. You just got to. It just kind of, that day for some reason just reminded me of January, February this year. It was absolutely shocking. Kind of wanted to totally leave that behind. And then Wednesday, and then I had that issue with the forklift driver at the dispatch in one place, just generally being a bit arsey, and just no need for it. Struggled to sleep early in the week just because it was very hot and humid this week through the night. And then on the Friday, I had this, that shipper who was just kept knocking money off the job. Not what I quoted, and then when it turned out to be a cancellation, didn't put on a job the cancellation fee it was agreed, tried to knock money off that as well, and then just really struggling to get hold of a shipper when there's issues like that. So that was like the bad points of the week. Wasn't all bad. Torquay was really nice. That was a real good bonus. Glad to go in there. I really want to go to Taymouth now. I haven't driven through it, but kind of thought now that's kind of, I've been down that Devon 3 times. Previous 2 times I've been fine, so it's like 3rd time unlucky, I think. But then I did get a job from Exeter, further along the coast towards, on the way to Poole. Forget where exactly it was now. So I did get a job out of Devon, but I took a bad job, short job, not going particularly far and getting kind of in a worse spot. I think that's where I went wrong. Yeah, and then later in the week, that job that I should have been taken to Southwest Wales actually ended up being diverted back to Cardiff. That was a bit of a win as well, so it wasn't all bad. Yeah, thanks for watching. If you have, as ever, any tips for me or anyone who watches it, any questions that you want my opinion on, I'll try and get through to them. I've noticed sometimes I get a bell notification, so I press on the bell and it'll say a question. And I'll press on the question, and it should go to me which vlog it is and where it is in the feed below it, so I can reply. But when I do that, for some of them, for some reason, it isn't there, so it's like I can't reply. So if I haven't replied to you, somebody asked me a question this week or last week. God, I can't even remember what it was now, but I couldn't get to it, so I couldn't answer it. So sorry if I haven't answered your question. I think I'm kind of up to date now on replying to questions. Yep, so plan the full 5 days again this week coming. Like I say, it was a good week, apart from that one day kind of ruined it really. If I had another day that was in line with the rest of them, it would have been a really good week. So yeah, cheers.